Hey everybody, welcome back. We are starting chapter 3 today, section 3. And this chapter is all about learning about different parameters, is a word I'm going to use occasionally. And we're going to start with measures of center. We have several measures of center that we're going to look at, and there's different ways of doing it, but hands down, the most important measure of center is the mean. We often just refer to this as the average when we say that word. If the data are a sample from a population, then the mean is denoted with X bar. That's how we pronounce that, X bar. If the data is from an entire population, then the mean is denoted by a Greek letter. It's a Greek letter M called a mu, pronounced mu, mu. And what I'm going to have you do right now is I'm going to have you put the data for this first example. This is going to be for list 1, and this is for list 2. I've already put that data into my lists, so you may need to pause the video to do that. But what we're going to do is, before I even do that, let's talk about how do we find the mean. Well, the mean, X bar, is going to be the sum of the data divided by the number of data. Now, I'm deliberately using some sort of wacky Greek here. This says add up the data. And this is the number of data. So the weird looking E thing there is actually a capital Greek letter S called a sigma. And it's the S on purpose because it means sum. So we're adding up the data and we're dividing by the number of data. And I want to do that for our first example here. So hopefully you've already put the data into the calculator. But we're going to do this one by hand. So this is going to be X bar is 22 plus 22 plus 26 plus 24 plus 23. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces of data here. So let's do that. So 22 plus 22 plus 26 plus 24 plus 23 is 117. And divide that by 5. So what is the mean of this data here? It is 23.4. And we don't have a unit here or anything like that. I want to show you a better way. We're going to use stat calc bar stats. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to go to stat, the stat button. At the top, it says calc, C-A-L-C. And the very first one is one variable statistics. And I need to tell it which list I want to do. Its default right now is list 1, but if I didn't have anything there, I could still do second and 1, which is L1. And my frequency list, I'm going to leave blank. When I hit enter, this calculator, we can see at the top, yay, we got our mean. X bar is 23.4. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to run 1 bar stats on list 2. So I'm going to clear all that. And I'm going to go stat, calculate, 1 var statistics. And what I'm going to use is I need to change this to list 2, second 2. And you can see my X bar is 23.875. So this is very handy. You can see it gives us a lot of information here. Yep. A lot of information here. Some of this we will use, some of it we will not. All right, now I want to point out that I have already loaded list 3 is this list here. There's the 12 and the 14 and the 14 and the 7 and so on. So mine's list 3. And I'm going to run one var stats with this to get my X bar on list 3. So I'm going to hit stat, calculate one var stats. And I need to go up and change that to list 3. And there is my mean in pounds. So we have a pet store has 8 cats and their weights in pounds. The average is 9.875. That is the mean of these cat weights. I'm in a squeaky chair here. Next up, next measure of center is called the median. I want to point out that the median is the middle value. So I need to put everything in order. I'm going to go ahead and sort my list 1. And I'm going to find the middle number. So if I start the left 22 and the right 26, and I go in 1, that's 22 and 24, and I go in 1 more, that's going to give me a middle value of 23. That is the median of that list. Now, the list has to be in order. If it's not in order, you can't find the median. Unless the calculator does it for us. Now, I want to point out, this is list 1, and this is list 2. I'm going to go ahead and run one var stats again on list 1. And I can see the median right there. It's 23, which I already knew it was. Now, before I run that again on this one, I want to see my list 2 is not in order. So I'm going to go ahead and sort my list 2 as well. So sort list 2, second 2. And let me go and write those out in order. So that's 22, 22, 23, 23, 24, 25, 26, 26. What I'm going to do, because this one's a little different, is I'm going to start here, and I'm going to go in 1. Then I'm going to go in 1. And I'm going to notice I have 2 numbers in the middle now. The previous one, I only had 1, so that was easy. It was 23. But what this says to do now is now I'm going to take the 23 and the 24 and find the mean. And that is my median. So if it's an odd group of numbers, then it's just the middle number. That's easy. If it's an even list of numbers, then what we need to do is take the middle 2 and find the mean. I'm going to go ahead and run one var stats on list 2. So stat calc one var stats, change it to list 2, second L2. And you can see the median turns out to be 23.5. There it is. Very cool. All right. So the following list contains the number of movies that a group of 11 students saw in theaters in the past 12 months. Find the median. Well, I'm going to put that list into my list. And you can see in my list 3, I have the 12. No, I don't. Oh. Okay, we're going to do this one by hand. So this is going to be 4. Yeah, 4, and then I have another 4. 7, 7, 8, 8, 9, 9, 12, 15, and 16. You could put those into a list. I didn't, but you can. And then sort them. And here we are. And so let's move in. Notice it's odd. So we are going to have a middle number in this case, which is nice. So I'm going to start here. and here, and here, and here, and here, and there is my median, 8 in this case. All right, next up we have our mode. And this is the number that occurs most frequently. And we don't need to use a list for this. We can see the very first list. It looks like 22 comes up the most often. And for our second list, we have two 22s, we have two 26s, and we have two 23s. So we actually have 3 modes in this case. 22, 23, and 26. We would call this trimodal. If there were 2 modes, then we would say that it's bimodal. So in this case, there are 3 modes. For the last list, there is no mode. Meaning there isn't a number that occurs most frequently. I've seen some books that would say that all of them are the mode, but the book that we're using with ALEKS and everything, it's not there. And next up, we'll find the mode. We can, again, we don't need a calculator for this. I can see that there are 3 19s, anyone 19, 4 19s. And I'm seeing a lot of 16s as well. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so there are, this one is bimodal. So there are 2 modes in this case, 16 and 19. The mid-range is another way to find a measure of center. This is the maximum plus the minimum divided by 2. This one is possibly the least useful. And what we're going to do is we're going to do an example where we're going to find everything so far. All the measures of center. So this data I did put into a list. That is my list 4. You can see with the 47, 55, and so on. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and sort it. I don't need to, but I'm going to. List 4. And I'm going to go ahead and run one of our stats. Calc one of our stats on list 4. And I'm going to note that the mean, so X bar is 59.8. The median is 64. The mode, I need to look at the data. And I'm seeing 73 is repeated, it looks like to me. In the mid-range, is the largest, which is 92, plus the smallest, which is 20, divided by 2. 92 plus 20 divided by 2. So I'm getting 56. So all of these are my answers. There, 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 and there. Our last one is the one that's going to take the most amount of time. So what if we're given a frequency distribution table and we want to approximate the mean? Well, what we're going to do is I need to first of all find the class midpoint. And just as a reminder on how to do that, that means I'm going to take the lower plus the upper and divide by 2. I'm going to do that for each of these. 70 plus 89 divided by 2. And actually, all I need to do is just add 20 to each one. So 99.5, 119.5, and 139.5. I'm going to go ahead and add up the frequencies. 2 plus 33 plus 35 plus 7 plus 1. That's going to give me 78. And the formula that we're going to be using to find the approximated mean is going to be about the summation of the midpoint times the frequency divided by the summation of the frequency. So we already have the denominator. That is down here, 78. But now we need the frequency times the midpoint, which is going to be 2 times 59.5, 2 times 59.5, 119, 33 times 79.5, 35 times 99.5, 7 times 119.5, and 1 times 139.5. Seven times. If I add all that up, I get 7201. So after all that work, what we end up with 7201 divided by my 78 down there. About 92 point, we'll say 32. This is the IQ score. And that is measures of center.